Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!
Oh my god. Oh my god. I know what I saw. To this day, I don't know if I'll be able to recover. But at the same time, I think I can make it through. That night, it was, me, Bash, and Sketch, and we could have stayed and helped the situation, but Stealth Rocks, Spikes, and T-Spikes were there. We didn't have our boots, no grounded poison. I don't know how we would have made it out, and it's just really unfortunate because it was past Bash's bedtime, and me and Sketch haven't given him his goodnight noogies. So I don't really know how they're gonna blame us to stay, or I'm sorry, leave when we have those circumstances. And it just wasn't possible. How does that make us assholes? You're the asshole for even asking me that question, fucker. Why the hell are we even having this interview to begin with? Krash PRs are coming out, leave me alone, okay? What do you mean this is for Krash PRs? Oh, shit, I forgot, yeah, you're editing the video. Thanks, Sketch. Well, in that case, I gotta get ready.
What are you doing, Crypto?
Who's there? What the fuck?
Oh my god. Hola, you cock. My name's Crypto, and I got a wet sock. You might be wondering what from. Don't even ask. Bash would know. He's stupid.
Welcome to PRs, everybody. Giratina Season 10. Let's go! I am Sketch AV. For anybody who's new, doesn't already know me, hello. I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts. We got Bash.
Yo, welcome. Let's go, Basher Nation here.
And we got the GOAT, Crypto.
Ooh. What's up, fam?
And we're here to kind of clown on some teams, maybe praise a couple of them, but yeah.
Don't say clown.
Humble these clowns.
Yeah, we're here to put some people in their place, in the literal sense.
Yeah, Crypto loves to put oh wait, never mind. I'm not gonna follow up on that. I'm not gonna follow up on that one.
Okay, so let's go through the ground rules spiel that we have to give every time. I'm probably gonna forget something, but this is for post-draft, for teams that were legal as of week 1. So no week 2 FAs are being included in this. This is also after the grace period. We base our decisions on the teams rather than the players. So if you have last place, that's not to say that you're bad at the game or anything, just that your team might struggle more than others in our opinion. And if you disagree, then just prove us wrong.
Yes.
Rankings are based on 3 lists. We each made our own individual ones without consulting each other, and then averaged where you fell on each of our lists, and those will be visible at the end of the video if you're curious how you did on any of the individual lists.
No, and then also I'm just gonna point it out that there's gonna be one Pokemon on this. I think it's just one Pokemon that's gonna appear twice on the PR list. So be prepared.
Yeah, Crypto made a little logistical boo boo. He kind of metaphorically shat his pants, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. It's only for 1 week anyway.
Yeah.
Anything I'm missing here? Anything I'm forgetting?
I think you're good, Sketchy Poo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One thing I'll say is like this is based off of your team, not you. So keep that in mind. And also, yeah, but we're gonna emphasize it because we need to make sure that none of those coaches are salty. You know, after having that salty snack.
True. Also, I guess disclaimer: Crypto's mic cuts in and out sometimes. So just prepare for that. I'm sure it'll be fine today, but yesterday.
Actually just cut out?
No, it didn't.
Oh.
I'm just giving the heads up now, so we don't get like 10 minutes in and then have to explain it.
Yeah, I think it's because Crypto probably kind of used the mic for other things, not just.
Yeah, I use it to call out to my teammates. What are you trying to say, Bash? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, sure.
Crypto, I feel like you usually introduce the 16th team, so as per tradition, it's all you, buddy.
We got this. Coming in at 16th place, not 17th this season. They're doing a little bit better. We got Hopeless drafting the team consisting of Arcanine, Tyranitar, Mega Pidgeot, Gyarados, Rhyperior, Aerodactyl, Alakazam, Executor, Machamp, Magnezone, Cloyster, and Sandslash. Now, and with the Terra Captains being Tyranitar Fairy and Cloyster Free. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a theme going on here. I think maybe Sketchy, you heard it. It was like the Blues team or Gary's team from like Pokemon games or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think this is ever directly confirmed, but I'm like 99% sure this is like based on Blues teams from the games.
Okay. No, I gotcha. Well, it's interesting for sure. I mean, there's it's a cool concept because all Gen 1 mons except for Tyranitar, and well, Magnezone, and
and Mega Pidgeot, right?
Yeah, that guy too. But I mean, I guess I can see. I'm trying to think like decent components. Like the speed tiers aren't terrible actually, which is one thing I noticed because it goes from like it goes from like Arrow and Mega Pidgeot to Alakazam to
what was it?
Never mind.
What was
It's
it
pretty bad. Never mind. These are pretty bad. Not the greatest. Yeah, I don't know. This team synergy is just all over the place. Obviously, you know this. It's not the best. We got a lot of rockers. I'll give you that. That's good. That's good. You're not having any trouble with that. A lot of good potential to run EVs too. That would be helpful. And I don't know. Pretty decent stuff.
Yo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fire concept, right? Like, doing the blue theme. I think that's pretty cool. I think obviously there's always gonna be a lot of flaws if you try to do something like that. But I'm gonna be optimistic, right? We're gonna start with what's good. Even though Bash was kind of laughing, I actually agree. I think the speed tiers are actually pretty, like, surprisingly good for what this team is. Like, I think there's a major gap between Alakazam and Arcanine, but outside of that, things scale pretty evenly down from Aerodactyl at 130 to Rhyperior at 40. And I think 40 is like a good enough speed to be like a trick room deterrent. So pretty hard hitters on the fast and slow side, which is always pretty nice to have. Yeah, good hazard setters with Arrow, Rhyperior, Sandslash, and T-Tar, as well as like spikes and T-spikes from Cloyster. 4 different removal options, which is a pretty healthy amount to have. And you know, you got like a Volt turn going, I guess, with like Mega Pidgeot and Magnezone. And then what's weird is I feel like you never really see this many, but this team has 5 teleport users. I think
This is all Gen 1 mods.
yeah, exactly. I think the only one you're really going to be running teleport on is like Arcanine and maybe Executor. I could see Cloyster and Magnezone running it at some point too, but definitely don't run it on Alakazam. That'd kind of be choking. Now, the issues, you're missing 5 types, which is honestly less than I expected it to be looking at the team, but still like a pretty good amount. And I think the biggest issue is just that the team doesn't have any like high point value threats. Like the highest value mon here is Alakazam, which is just kind of underwhelming compared to other teams.
Wait, what? You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you like? It sounded like you're waiting for us to say something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean that was like the main thing I had. I was just gonna pass it to Bash after that. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I could like point out more stuff here. I really just think that's what it comes down to, though, right? Like this highest value mon is Alakazam. I don't think it really competes with other teams.
No.
Hear me out. The one thing that he's really missing is that grounded poison. You know, it's gonna be tough.
Oh no.
Yeah. Also, no cleric support with no T-Spike absorber is not.
Whoa! There is Wish Executor.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, luckily, 3 of the mons are flying types, so luckily, they're only weak to Stealth Rock, not T-Spikes. But yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting team with over half your mons weak to Stealth Rock, so we'll see how it goes. So very interested team. Obviously, there's not much really could say about like a team like this where it's built off of like supposedly a character in the game. So have fun, Hopeless, and don't be a lonely mouse.
That's about how I felt too. It's like, how much am I really expected to say about this team? I think it was kind of drafted knowing that there's going to be holes in the team like that, and I think that's fine. I don't need to harp on that too much. I think we can go ahead and move to 15 unless there's anything else.
I was just gonna point out, dude, if you do another team, like freaking like imagine a Cynthia team like that.
I was
actually
thinking
might
that
be
too.
kinda
Yeah, that could be pretty fire. You got like a nice Garchomp in there.
You should do a youngster Joey team too. That would be great.
That would be really good.
have to be
True.
We have to make sure we can play by what's that rule called where you can play a lot of level 1s. It's like a certain play style, I think.
Oh yeah.
Fearmon? Fear.
Fear. That's what we'll have to set in Crash. Yeah. Next team, Sketchy or Bashy?
15th place, we got the Charlotte Slitherwings, coached by Odds. Odds has a team consisting of, if I can find it in my notes, Zamazenta Crown, Galarian Slowking, Landorus Therian, Iron Hands, Tangrowth, Grimmsnarl, Gastrodon, Gardevoir, and Fione.
Mega Gardevoir.
Mega Gardevoir?
Yeah, that's Mega Gardevoir.
Did I miss a Mega Gardevoir?
Yep.
Instead of Gardevoir.
This should be number 1 on my PRs now.
Interesting. Yeah, you know what? Never mind. This team is number 1. Okay, no, I had Mega Gardevoir when I was like analyzing the team. I just don't think I have it listed out here. Okay, cool. I got worried for a second. I was like, did I just like not factor in this month? Okay, cool.
That fixes that. I have to take one of my things off of my things. I gotta write about his team now.
No, that's why I was like worried. I was like, let me like review what notes I had because like I hope all this still stands. Like, okay, we're good. Missing 7 types is really rough. I know I'm the guy that always brings up how many types people have, but I think it's really important in this case. There's no bug, dragon, fire, ghost, ice, normal, or rock, and I think that's just way too much to be missing on like a balanced draft. Another big issue is that there's only one Pokemon above base 100 speed, that being Zamazenta, and since Zamazenta's at like 128, there's a really big gap between it and Mega Gardevoir, which I think is going to let a lot of things run like Adamant or Modest against you, which is pretty concerning. Yeah, there's like a... Yeah, it's a big speed gap. I don't know. I'm not too sure what like Fione is going to be doing as a Terra Captain. I've never really seen that one drafted, but maybe changing its type might let it do something cool. Kind of doubt it, but
sacrifice it in style.
I will say, I mean, you didn't really have many options for who to Terra here, so like, I'm not blaming you for that, but it's just kind of like an underwhelming Terra option. The only hazard removal on the team is Landorus, which is not very good. Yeah, I'm usually like pretty skeptical of like 9-point drafts. I talked about this in the RCS video. because I feel like a lot of the times they end up just missing something major, and I think that this team is kind of like an example of what I was saying there. Because I think having like a couple additional mons on this team could really help with just filling out missing types, adding to your removal options, and bridging gaps in the speed tiers. Yeah. What do you guys think?
So my big thing first off is there's a Zamazenta drafted first pick, right? Right? Is it first pick? Yeah, first pick for them.
Yep.
It's not the Terra Captain. Like, I don't know about that one. Like, Zamazenta, I feel like in that dex is worth a first round pick if you get it with Terra, I think. I don't know about like without it. Like it's gonna struggle a little bit. But I guess NOT is a decent like Terra captain too, but I don't know. Fionn kind of just looks like it's thrown in there. Cool pick and all, but I don't think it's coming ever. Also, your team is so fat. Like I am, Zamazenta, like Mega Gardevoir is bulky in the special spin-off side, and then Iron Hands, Tangrowth, Gastro, and G King. Like, well, yo, these games are gonna go like 200 turns. If they don't bring a Brave Bird spam, which you know you don't have a resist, so that's something to know. Yeah, or yeah, your only fairy resist is G King. I was gonna talk about the speed tiers more, but it looks even better. It looks a little better now that it went from Gardevoir to Mega Gardevoir from like base 80 to 100. So now there's something in between Zama and Lando T, but still not great. Yeah, and Sketch mentioned the only removal is Lando T, so there's something you'll probably change. I feel like also like Grimmsnarl feels weird on this team with like not that much setup on the not as much setup as I would think on a Grimmsnarl team. With your really like your big setup options, I would say probably like Lando T, Zama, maybe Iron Hands. But I feel like something like a Dry and Dance mod, like I feel like it's really mostly for Lando T, to be honest, with the screens. So just wanted to, yeah, and just too many repetitive. I feel like the repetitive typings weren't great on a team like this when there's so many typings you need to fill out instead. So yeah.
Yep. I myself had the team ranked pretty low as well, but it actually looks like a really fun team to use on paper, in my opinion. And I think, like the Zamazenta first pick, I would agree that you need to Terra like most every time, but I at the same time, I really think that Terra flying Lando is like, disgusting behind the screens, and I think that'll be probably like, I could honestly see that being like high on the kill, to be honest, because you know, now that it's lost like the ability to Z and everything, but it still has like, you know, Terra Blast fly and then Edgequake, like that's not easy to switch into and whatsoever. So they're using things like Gardevoir and Zamazenta to break even would be really good. But yeah, no, like the type synergy thing, like they're already pointing out, is just it's just not helping you out too much. Could have probably used a Silvally for your flying resist, that would have helped out a bit. Other than that, I mean, yeah, you're kind of struggling. But
Yep. Yeah, one other thing, unless Crypto just said this, I don't want to repeat Crypto again. I'm so bad, dude. I zone out a lot. But Lando being the only defogger is especially rough because it's also one of only 2 stealth rockers, and I don't know if you're gonna want to run rocks and defog on Landorus every week. So like Gastrodon's probably gonna be like pressured into carrying rocks like every week, which I don't know. It's not like a bad stealth rocker or anything. I just think it's really limiting.
Yeah, that made me think of the point of the fact that if Lando T is forced to be the defogger, it's not running setup with screens. So yeah, that's kind of tough.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Very true.
True, but I mean,
he does have the patty cake champ.
He does have the patty cake champ. I agree with Crypto. Like, it does seem like it'd be like pretty fun to use. It just feels kind of like restricted in some ways. Like there are probably some things that you could do to add to your synergy, because I think there are definitely like some big threats on the team with the right support. I could see it really shining. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
So in 14th place, we got the Dombozos. New coach to the league, we got Doge with a team of Mega Scizor, Zygarde, Rotom Wash, Screamtail, Porygon 2, Kyurem, Galarian Articuno, Entei, Alolan Muck, Meowstic, and Masquerain, with the Terra users being Zygarde Normal and Galarian Articuno as the free Terra. I really like the Terra users here. Zygarde Normal is broken. That thing is so annoying to face. Thankfully, I never had to face Bash last season when he had it, but I did mocks for him like every week, and it was just like the worst experience of my life. I never figured out exactly how to consistently check that thing. I also think Galarian Articuno is a really cool free Terra option. It just seems like it's pretty offensively menacing, and I think being able to like hit with whatever type is really good for a mon like that, since it does have access to the Terra Blast. I feel like this team has an almost non-existent hazard setting presence. I guess that's kind of helped by like Masquerain's Sticky Web, but like Screamtail is the only Stealth Rock option, which is not good. No, well, not that it's like not a good Stealth Rocker, but it's just not good only having one. I feel like Screamtail especially likes to run pretty versatile sets some weeks, with like coverage options or dual screens or Encore. So I mean, like, it definitely can run rocks. I just don't think it's gonna want to every single week. And if it doesn't carry it, then you have no damaging hazards. The other Screamtail related issue here is that it is your fastest Pokemon. Like, this is a very slow team. 111 is just not a good place to be with like a high speed, especially because Screamtail is not like much of an offensive presence unless you're running like a crazy amount of setup, like weakness policy or something like that. And like
maybe. Sorry to
true. No, you're fine. Like, the only other Pokemon above base 100 speed is Meowstic, and it's kind of like the same answer, or the same issue. Like, it's just not super offensive. It's kind of predictable too, being another Psychic type. Like, to prep for your fast mons, it'll be really, really simple, because they share that type, and they're not really much of an offensive threat.
Oh, I will say is Meowstic likes to be like a dual screens, which is kind of really nice which makes it even more disgusting with Zygarde or like Galarian Articuno, for like setup capabilities.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like Screamtail also does dual screens pretty effectively, so like, not too sure how necessary Meowstic even is. But I'm not gonna tell you to get rid of it, because again, it's only one of two mons above base 100, so it does seem kind of important for you. I will say I do like the Zygarde Mega Scizor core, especially with like a nice bulky water to sponge the ice and fire hits like Rotom Wash. I'm not sure how I feel about Kyurem on the team. It's another dragon type at the exact same speed tier as Zygarde, which I just think makes prepping for your team a lot easier, because it's just like, I don't know, I guess Zygarde can switch its type obviously, but like,
both of them are weak to fighting though.
Yeah, that is true. They're both weak to fighting. They share like obviously the same like fairy or dragon weakness before Zygarde Terras. Yeah, that's a good point, Bash. And then yeah, Porygon 2 and Muck are some cool bulk options. The only thing with P2 is that people are going to be prepared for a bulky normal type anyway because of Zygarde, and so I don't know, it just feels like this team doesn't know fully what it wants to be and doesn't really have the immediate offensive presence that you might want it to have. I think it's very reliant on setup.
That's funny that we said that for this team too, because it was like the same way for the last Mega Scizor and Zygarde team we talked about.
Yeah, that is true.
But, I mean, at least.
Oh, like spoilers! What?
What? No. They don't know who it is. No, they don't know who it is. Oh man, no. But like you were saying, like with the fast psychics or whatever, there, it's like I feel like a Scarf Dark type, like on a lot of weeks, is just gonna cause this team like a lot of problems. Like there's fat stuff, but like eventually a Scarf Dark could pretty easily clean in a lot of cases, being that Muck is the only resist as well, so that's not really ideal. I would say this team is pretty weak to knockoff spam too, being that I feel like a lot of the offensive options are boots in certain games, and that, you know, Porygon's there with its Eviolite. Muck's probably going to be pretty important AV in a lot of weeks, so it's definitely not ideal there. I don't know, I would agree with Sketch. I feel like maybe the Kyurem could be swapped out for something else, and then maybe swap out with like Kyurem and maybe even like Masquerain. I mean, webs are cool, but maybe even Masquerain to try to get like another good breaker there and another like a fighting type or something. But I don't know. It's overall really like it's a cool team. I like the first like 3 picks especially. But maybe you could have just went from a different direction from, I guess.
Something I'll say is that I feel like this team could have used a ghost type instead of a psychic. Nice spin blocker for the webs, especially since you said, like, as you said, like the speed control's been really bad. Like the speed's really bad. So one of the ways you could try to beat that is with webs. But then you can't even really keep it up, you know, because Mass Greed typically tends to be like a suicide lead. So,
You know what it is?
oh yeah. So suicide lead is typically where a Pokemon sets up hazards or something like that, and then dies. Like just dies. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. It's interesting. But I will say for breaking power, it's not the worst in the world, but like Entei is like typically known as like one of the mons that are really good at breaking, you know? Like choice band Sacred Fire under webs would be kind of disgusting, to be honest. Yeah, but I feel like other than that, like that, I feel like the team doesn't really have the breaking power that it needs. So maybe switching something up, like you do. I don't think you need Meowstic on the team. Probably get a faster mon instead of that. Like I don't think you need like Kyurem is not really that useful on this team. I just feel like there's a lot of things that are issues with it. You mentioned the whatever the hazard setting, not great. But yeah, there's just like it feels a lot more of like very bulky setup. Like is what I get the feeling from this, right? Like Zygarde, Glaring Articuno, Mega Scizor, like those kind of things, right? With really bulky setup and Screamtail, and that's how you're gonna win your game. So I feel like the breaking power is gonna be if you get some more breaking power to be really nice. Especially since in case you have to play like any unaware mons, it's gonna be a tough game. So.
Yeah. I was just gonna add one more thing. It was kind of interesting that you brought up the thing about like you brought up the Entei. It was known for like breaking and stuff. And like it still is a good breaker, but like since the power creeps went up in a lot since the recent gens, I feel like Entei's really taken a hit because like it can still hit hard and everything, but like there's just so many other hard hitting fires out there. It's like why would you even for Entei? And like unless in this case, it's like I do like it on this team because it is one of your better breakers. So I mean, it's gonna give you an option there, but I just feel like the poor guy's taking a hit, unfortunately.
Yeah. Something else that came to mind, like when Crypto was talking about, like, well, I guess I made the point first, but I thought about while Crypto was talking about, like the fast psychics being a little bit redundant, is that if you choose to go like Terra Normal Zygarde, which I think you should most weeks personally, then Articuno is just another fast psychic offensive threat. Yeah, but to Bash's point with like the bulky setup stuff, I think Kyurem is also really good at that sort of thing. I think that thing is like surprisingly bulky. People just kind of sleep because ice is a really bad defensive typing, but like really annoying like sub roost toxic pressure sets could be really good with that mon for sure. But yeah,
you know what seems missing is this team would really strive on with T-Spikes. Like Kyurem, Zygarde, Mega Scizor especially. Like
honestly, but they would need a spinner though. I think if they did that.
That's true. Pick up Fortress for Mega Scizor and you're good.
I think it's so like unfortunate that Little Muck doesn't get Little Muck doesn't get T-Spikes. Yeah.
But Muck does.
Yeah, right. That feels like kind of racist in a way. What the heck?
Well, damn. Alola got. Alola forms got
Cool. Anything else?
No, that's good. You got that Doge in you, brother.
Got that Doge in you for sure. Cool. Crypto, you want to introduce this next one?
Let's see here. Yes, I can do the next one here. All right, let me scroll on over to the time. All right. Thank you. This is 13, right?
Yep.
Or 14? 13. Okay. Coming in at 13th spot in the PRs here, we've got Lily on the plus-minus steel rollers with the Sneasler, Hisuian Samurott, Tapu Lele, Celesteela, Serena, the Dunsparce, Cryogonal, Palossand, Regirock, Vespiquen, Raikou, and Mega Charizard X, with the Terra Captains being Sneasler Dark and the Dunsparce Free. To start off with a positive, I think once again this has a pretty solid Terra captains in this regard. Being Sneasler Dark, certainly good for certain counters in some ways, being like bulky psychics in different aspects. And then the Dunsparce as a free Terra captain is probably one of the better low tier options you're gonna have as well. So definitely did good with that. The synergy on this team's a little weird. It's one of those 12-man rosters, so typically I'm probably gonna roast a little bit. But I don't know. Mega Charizard's not really supported the greatest, in my opinion. You've got a spinner in Cryogonal and Serena, which I'm not a huge fan of Serena. And then Cryogonal, I wouldn't say is the most reliable. And then does Vespiquen get defog?
Yeah, it
I
does.
mean,
Yeah.
that thing's 4 times weak to Roxo too, so it's definitely gonna be.
I mean, it can run boots though.
Yeah,
Kind
it
of
can run
like similar like
boots.
Moltres.
Don't forget that Cryogonal also gets defog.
It is one of the 3 rapid spin defoggers. Well, those ice types are just different though. But then at the same time, you also at the same time though, you also have the Hisuian Samurott, the Hazard Stack team. So I don't think that really makes the. I mean, it's good with Mega Charizard X. Like there's that in a way, but you could definitely. I mean, at least you have 2 spinners, I guess. Okay, never mind. You just destroyed me with that point. Never mind. You have 2 spinners, you're fine. So I don't know. The team's got good setup potential, except sucks.
Yep.
Tapu Lele is a decent mon. I will not say it's bad like these guys. It's a decent mon, but it's not the best. Yeah. I don't know. The synergy on this team's kind of weird to me, so I'm not feeling it in that regard. But either way, it seems like a pretty cool team.
Yeah. It's all you, Bash. It's all you. You got it.
Okay. Yeah. Very, very sus removal for Megazard because but if you want to bring Megazard, you're probably gonna have to bring one of the Cryogonal, Serena, or Vespiquen, which, no offense, probably not gonna want to come to a lot of games. To be honest, like it's gonna be really tough. It's like gonna really force like your prep in like a one-dimensional way, which is gonna really suck in that way. I also would have really appreciated it. Oh, never mind. I lied. I was gonna say something, but never mind. I lied. Yeah. Well, Tapu Lele. Very. I don't know how I feel about Hisuian Samurott with Lele. With Hisuian Samurott, actually like does really like its priority options, so it might be a little tough with that. But you know what's really interesting is that he has 2 ways to stop priority, because he also has Serena with the ability. So on top of that, you're stopping double the priority. You know, like
Right.
True.
Those flying types coming in think they can go for some priority move in the terrain, then Serena comes out. Nope.
Yep. I also will say, I think this team it doesn't have that as much momentum as I prefer usually to get things in. Specifically for get like Lele in, it's going to be like a little bit on the tougher side. But yeah, I this team just like feels kind of weird. It just feels really weird. I feel like there's like a lot of places you could probably like upgrade in, like upgrading. Like I feel like you're like, to be honest, Vespiquen, cool mon, but like it's your best defogger on your team. So I feel like maybe like trying to like make some FAs to like try to upgrade your removal situation, because it's gonna be tough otherwise for Megazard to really get going, you know, like, and carry on and keep going. Yeah,
I feel like we have
also
all
I would
these
say
like inside jokes from past PR videos that like maybe only one person even knows what we're talking about when we bring this stuff up. But it's funny to us, and that's what matters.
Yeah. The last thing I'll mention is something that could have been really cool, I think, on this team that you definitely don't have, is wish support into Celesteela would be really toxic on this team, I think. So that could be something cool to, you know, put on your team. Just a thought, you know, but definitely prioritize getting more better removal, because it's gonna be a tough season. But they do have all the typing, so I'm sure the sketch just probably moaned to that over there. So yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Crypto?
Oh, I was just gonna say they have a Sneasler furry. Woo!
Woo! Yeah, big fan of the 18 typings, as Bash predicted. I believe this is the only team across both divisions that managed to fill out all 18 typings. So well done, round of applause for that. I'm also just in general a big Sneasler fan as well. Not because it's furry, but maybe a little bit. I don't know. Maybe slightly. I don't know. I think while I'd usually like to see like something at the base 125 to 130 speed range, Sneasler is fine since it can go unburdened and outspeed most of the metagame anyway. One thing that I do actually really like is I think Psychic Terrain from Lele is really nice to have with Sneasler because once it gets that unburdened activated, it doesn't have to watch out for priority options anymore, which makes it like a lot more free to sweep in the late game. Like I know when I had it last season, I ran like Sash Reversal specifically because the priority option on the other team was like pretty weak from what I remember. Like I don't think they had a whole lot of priority options, and so I think that having Psychic Terrain opens you up to do a lot more stuff like that. Or not Sash, I think it was like Endor with the Lychee Berry. There we go. Yep, I'm remembering things. Yeah, I feel like you can do like a lot more stuff like that, like Sash or Endor sets, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I think Ceaseless Edge is nice for hazard stacking with Sneasler too. I think Sneasler is such a good breaker that getting spike support there is going to be really, really solid. The rock setters here, they're fine. I feel like, yeah, they're okay. I kind of wish that there was maybe like one high tier stealth rocker, just so you have like that dedicated like one that's going to show up to every game and it's fine to carry rocks. But I think the three that you have don't usually mind carrying it on their sets. It's more so a question of whether or not they want to be brought at all in some matchups. But
yikes.
no, I mean, it's not like I think they'll be able to bring at least one of them at most, if not every game. It's just nice having like that kind of high tier, reliable hazard setter, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into the whole removal option. I think that's been covered pretty sufficiently, but that definitely is the weak point of this team, for sure. It also just, something about it feels like slightly underwhelming to me on paper. I think it's just because I'm a big Tapu Lele hater. I have been even before it was like, even before I got like the Psychic Terrain nerf, like back in like Gen 7 or Gen 8 or whenever that happened. I've always not really been a big fan of that Pokemon. But like I said, I do think that the Psychic Terrain here is kind of nice for Sneasler. Celesteela without a Totemize, kind of sus. I don't know, sussy gussy right there. I feel like that would really want to be like a Corviknight. I doubt Corviknight's still available, but like having that here would just be so nice just to have that reliable defogger. But I agree with Bash. I think some FAs could definitely patch the hazard weakness here. You just have to get a little bit creative with what you do here.
Yeah. I also, by the way, I've drafted Serena with Megazord X, and like Serena trying to be like a really good like functional hazard removal for it. It's not. It's not good enough removal. It's not good enough removal for it. So.
Oh man, I'm curious though with Celesteela because like I know obviously it needed to be drop points or whatever because it lost the Totemize, but I feel like people were low-key sleeping on it a little bit still because like defensive sets on it feel really annoying to deal with on that thing. So maybe she could put in some solid work with that.
Sounds like you're just bad, but.
Me.
Cool. So
okay, flying resist. Okay, buddy.
Bash, you wanna introduce 12th place to the league to everybody? Let them know.
Yep, it is Crypto Vibes. No, it's, we got Twigs here. Twigs is goated, by the way. But Twigs team consists of Lando Incarnate, Torrent, King Gambit, Heatran, Starmie, Forgus, Dragouge, Mega Pinsor, Chestnut, Alolan Graveler, Trapinch, and with the Terra being King Gambit flying and Dragouge free Terra. Something to really note is the fact that it's a little sussy with 3 flying types. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's going to suffer for that. Especially since one of them is like the worst one, obviously, is Torn T. So I feel like you should probably get rid of that one. But yeah, I don't know. Mega Pitster is like sick, but it also doesn't have return in this. So its best way to hit is like Body Slam, because I believe Double Edge is banned with Quick Attack. I believe they don't work. They're not compatible, at least, if I remember correctly. So that's something to keep in mind. So I feel like it's not going to have like that role it usually does. King Gambit, I think, is a really cool Terra. I always love seeing King Gambit. Hate facing it, but very scary. But I will say is the fact that it's your Terramon, but it's also currently your only Ghost Resist. So once you Terra that, yikes. Just yikes. Not sure where Alolan Graveler fits into this team, because you already have a Trapper in a way of Trapinch, right? So not exactly sure where you're going there. I'm assuming you're just like a 1 point Mon or whatever, or is it 2 point? I hope it's not 2 points, because that's a little, no offense, but I waste on 2 picks, 2 points of it. But I feel like there's probably something better that you could probably find in the 1 points, even though even just I don't know, hazard setting like Sticky Webs or something like that could have been really nice. Especially since you do have if you wanted to, you could run Defiant King Gambit, which would be really cool on this team. Yeah. Only Fairy Resist is Heatran. Heatran plus King Gambit feels a little weird. Don't know how I feel about that one either. Yeah. Also, last thing is, yeah, I just don't know how I feel about this team. I feel like this team is very special oriented too. Literally the only two, there's 2-3 months that hit physical, on the physical side. It's very much special bias, and yeah, I just feel like it's missing a lot in terms of that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me cook. All right, let's check it out, right?
Yeah.
You have Landers, right? Cool guy,
Yeah.
big, strong man, looking cool all the time. That's my boy Lando. But here's the thing, right? How do you beat Landers, right? You run ice coverage, okay, fire, right? But then you have 5 other Pokemon that are weak to ice, which is kind of an issue. Yeah, it's it's not looking great for your boy Lando. I don't know. And here's the thing too, right? Of those 5 that are weak to ice, as Bash mentioned, you have 3 flying types, and so then you start looking at your resist, right? And admittedly, Heatran's a really good one, right? And I would say King Gambit is too, until you choose to terrastalize it, right? And what is it terrastalizing into? Another flying type. So we now have 4 flying types on the team. You got 7 ice weaknesses combined across the squad after you terrastalize King Gambit. So it's fully possible, and I would say even likely, for you to bring a team that is entirely weak to ice. The whole squad is weak to ice, and that is not good. That's a big problem there. I would also say I think, honestly, I think that's the biggest issue I have. Speed tiers, I think Landorus to Heatran's kind of a gap. It's not the worst thing ever. But you got a good amount of Stealth Rock users, a few removal options, and I think Florges works as a dedicated cleric here, but it really just is that giant shared weakness there. And it's not even it'd be one thing if it's oh, you got I don't know, 6 mons that are kind of weak to bug, but it's no, everybody is going to be bringing ice against you because you have a Landorus. Not just because of the shared weakness, but especially because of Landorus. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Crypto?
I think this team looks really cool. I think the low tier trapping. I disagree with the Alolan Graveler for sure, but I think the Trapinch was definitely a really good call, because trapping those steels and rocks and everything are gonna be really good for your flying cores and all that. So I definitely like that idea. And Heatran's also
too. I think it's really good at trapping bulky waters, which could be juice take, but like I've run like a lot. I've run like really fat Heatran sets with like weakness policy and Magma Storm, and that shit like is like low key pretty solid. So I mean, getting rid of bulky water is a bad thing.
It's definitely taking those mud slaps. No.
You're right. But then I definitely disagree with Bash's take on the Torn T. That is by far your best removal option for Mega Pincers, so definitely keep that on the team. But then other than that, like I would agree, maybe get some hazard, like the King Gambit thing. So like if people are wanting to spam defog against you, you can make them pay. You know, that's always helpful. Maybe if you are gonna make a transaction, I would consider patching up that ice weakness a little bit. That'd probably help. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, I don't know. It's weird though, because like, I guess you'd have to like, I don't know. What are you gonna? I guess you'd have to. I don't know. It's like weird because you have to change like a lot of things. Point. I don't know. I don't know. I actually like the team kind of a lot. I put it pretty low on my rankings too, but like it'd be something I feel like I'd have fun using. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say add on to it. Those are my thoughts.
Facts. Oh, we can go to, what's this, 11th? 11th place?
We are on 11.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And that is PC Barcelona, coached by Shadow Champion, with a team of Hisuian, Braviary, Clodsire, Garganical, Milotic, Bellybolt, Darkspun. How do you say this Pokemon?
Dosh. I thought it's Dosh.
It's Dashbun? Oh,
Yeah.
no. I don't even know how to say the actual dog it's based on. Basculegion.
Should have been the boss diff. What?
A boss diff, yep. Dashbun, Basculegion, female, Skarmory, Infernape, Weavile, and Kartana. I'll start with what I like about this team. I had this ranked the lowest out of the three of us, I think. But I do think there are some nice elements to it. I think you have 4 really, really solid stealth rockers in Clodsire, Garganical, Skarmory, and Infernape. I think those are all very, very reliable options. You're not going to struggle at all to keep stealth rocks up on the field. I would say the removal, I'm not as much of a fan of. Skarmory is obviously great at defogging, but Kartana is a little bit sus. And Hisuian Braviary is also a little bit sus. I think I'd really like to see a Rapid Spinner on this team because it seems like you have like a pretty good like hazard stacking approach with like spikes and T-spikes from Clodsire, as well as like additional spikes from Skarmory, and like I said, like 4 really good rockers. I could really see this being like a hazard stack team, but anytime you try to remove hazards, you're obviously clearing your own too, and that's a little rough. But yeah, now getting into like, I think the massive issue I have with this team, I respect the Hisuian Braviary round 1 pick, and I understand that it's like a dangerous Terra Captain option. I think the issue though is like in points draft especially, I think diving for lower tier picks in round 1 really just sets the rest of the team up for disaster, because while you're doing that, everybody else is taking all the top available threats and like removing them from the draft board, and the end result is that you have teams that have like, you know, these top threats like Dragapult or Qianpao, and then your team has top threats that are limited to like Infernape and Weavile, and by no means are those bad Pokemon. I think both of them are really good. I would never slander Weavile, of course, that's my favorite Pokemon, but I can definitely admit that those mons are like outclassed by the higher point mons, and it would have been nice if you like maybe secured 1 or 2 really valuable mons in rounds 1 or 2, and then got maybe Hisuian Braviary like round 3 if you're really passionate about it, because I really don't think that that thing was going to be going until like round like 4 or 5 at the earliest. Yeah. So it's just like from a power perspective, you just ended up with a team that I think is a little bit unbalanced, and I just don't think that it keeps up with a lot of the other drafts just from like a raw power perspective. I do think though that like the mons that you have are not bad. I just think that it's like outclassed in terms of like point value, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's you mean like essentially it's pretty underwhelming? Is kind of what? That's what you-
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I don't know. Everybody else has like these big threats, right? Like everybody's like, oh, how do I prep for like a Terrafire Chi-Yu or something like that? And then you get to this team, it's like, oh, how do I prep for Infernape? Like, oh, well, actually, I have a pretty good response to that. And at that point, it's like, well, all right, I don't think that this team would be too afraid of.
You know what? I got a little game we could play. Let's play, which Pokemon could you have picked instead of Hisuian Bravery round 1? You could have picked Chi-Yu.
Yep.
You could have picked Chien-Pao. You could have picked Great Tusk. You could have picked Mega Scizor, Lando,
Assholes.
Roaring Moon, Coco, Pax, Urshifu's Signal Strike, or Iron Bundle, or Palafin, or Terrible Corona. I think you get the point. I love you, Shadow. But like, yeah, I know that. I remember you saying that like you like got sniped like a bunch of times in the first round, so you just decided to pick Hisuian Braviary, which is like cool and everything. But like, then you followed it up with Clotsire round 2, which I think you could have waited at least another round for something, because you still could have grabbed something like Palafin, which is still like, in my opinion, a round 1 pick. So. Like, and that could have fixed that issue. There's no, like, really standout mods. Something I know that you love your Hisuian Braviary, though, because, yeah, you're great with it. But, something to know is, Basket Legion is very interesting. Keep in mind that, it's only the female one, so it's, like, the special attacking one. So, but it hits really hard. I think it'll be a really good wall breaker for the team, which could be really neat. But, yeah, there's, like, no standout Mons, I guess. I feel like very toxic defensive core though, but no standout Mons. But like for the defensive core, right? Clodsire, Garg, Milotic, right? Dosh, Skarm, right? Something I want to know with that is that like I don't know how often you should be bringing Scald on Milotic, because everybody and their mother is gonna bring at least one covert Pokemon for Garg, so. They're not going to worry about being burnt or salt cured. So that is something that might potentially like lead to an issue in the future. Because you can't really, Milotic really likes trying to get those burns off, and never going to happen with the Covert Cloak. But yeah, I don't know. It just team feels really weird. Felt like there was something you could have grabbed a lot better. Like something you could have filled. That's I don't know. Like. Especially like literally the beginning of the draft, you could have probably like I don't think Garg is a round 3 Pokemon too. Like I think they could have probably grabbed some good mod. Belly Bolt at round 5. That's crazy. sorry, Shadow. But yeah, very toxic defensive core. Just be wary about the fact that like a lot of people are gonna bring Covert Cloak, which is gonna be kind of annoying for your team. So for at least your defensive core. So yeah,
it almost feels like this team was drafted like in the reverse order of what you should have. Like I just don't think that the strategy of saving like your high value mons to the very end of your draft really works in a format like this.
Did in a speed tour once. I can confirm it makes your team a little strange looking, but it happens. I wanted to add to this. Hisuian Braviary, just fun fact, did indeed have more kills than Chi-Yu last season in Giratina, so I believe that was a good pick there. And also a fun fact, it finished 17th on the kill leaderboard. Clodsire finished 16th. I don't know if that was your thought process by drafting Clodsire next. But if it was, obviously that was a pretty good strategy. It's a little, to be honest, but I don't know. It's definitely one that, like, in my opinion, I'm a big advocate of, I think if you have the option to, you should pick a Mega, and I think this team definitely could have used a Mega in that regard because it is just underwhelming. But I mean, it fills out the hazard compartment nice, which was Sketch was pointing out and everything, so that's always good. And I think it does have some decent win conditions, which is also a nice thing. But yeah, no, they covered pretty much most of it. Really nice priority too, so thing between Infernape and Weavile. But then also like Belly Bolt and Doxbun, those were very early picks too. So, yep, just yep, that's my thoughts.
Just keep it up, keep going.
No. I don't know.
Does Crypto loves to keep it up.
Only for you, baby girl.
Yo, Bash, tell me about this 10th place team, Bash.
This person is MAR capital K, Mark here. Mark has a Roaring Moon, Mega Diancie, then Goldango, a Quacklevolt, Rotom-Mow, Moltres, Mamoswine, Drapion, Espeon, and Goga, with Terra Captains being Roaring Moon, Flying, Espeon, Free, which, to be honest, I really like the team. There's some obvious issues with it, right? Specifically speed, right? The speed is really not great with Roaring Moon being your fastest Pokemon. Not great, but you do have ways to boost your speed, such as Roaring Moon boost your energy speed, or Quacklevolt with Aqua Step. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I definitely would have liked to see something faster in your team. At least something also to know is that the hazard setting isn't the greatest, I feel like, especially when you have a Goldango. Mega Diancie and Mamoswine I don't feel like are going to want to run hazards a lot of times because they like to usually break or sweep, or some Mega Diancie usually likes to break or sweep, and then Mega Diancie and Mamo like to break. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't really have a good, reliable rocker or spikes. You got T-Spikes or Drapion, which is interesting. Felt like you maybe could have gone a different direction with it, but yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of it feels good on paper. When you look at it, just generally, it looks really cool. But then you look into it more depth and more in depth, and it feels like there's these underlying issues on the team that could cause you issues in the future. But yeah, I really wish that you got more hazard setting, especially when you have literally the Pokemon that stops pretty much all removal in the game, which could have been really toxic to get those the Roaring Moon sweeps or Mega Diancie sweeps in the end, because then you can just or a Quacklevolt, because once Quacklevolt, once it starts gets rolling, it just keeps steamrolling other teams and getting those hazards up to get those things in range, specifically these bulky waters. It's gonna make that thing crazy good. I don't know. I feel like you have some things you could fix on the team at least.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really threatening Fairy Dragon Steel Core in Roaring Moon, Mega Diancie, Goldango, and hazard removal is a little bit lackluster, but not terrible. I think Spin Quaquaval is probably gonna have to carry, but I don't really think it minds running Rapid Spin either. But yeah, I agree with Bash. Mamoswine and Diancie, not great for setting up Stealth Rocks. And I also had in my notes too exactly what Bash said. I would like to see more of a hazard stacking presence. When you have Goldango on your team, just because it's so good at stopping the removal. But I don't think anybody really cares about running removal against you, because chances are you're not going to be able to really fit Stealth Rocks onto your build anyway, and probably not spikes either. The issue that I have with this team, and admittedly this is a very playstyle oriented one, you might be fine with this. I don't personally think I could make a team like this work, because I don't think it has enough bulk to really keep up with the big hyper offensive meta that we're in now in Gen 9. I don't know, bulky Moltres I think is your best option at this point, and I just don't know if that's enough to switch in on some of the hard-hitting boys this gen. But if you are really comfortable with hyper offense and it's just a playstyle that you're really used to, then definitely take this with a grain of salt, because some people can definitely make teams like this function. I just know that I personally love having at least one or two dedicated bulky pivots or walls to handle some of the big threats, and I think that that's especially important in Gen 9 draft. But I don't know, what do you think, Crypto?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point for sure. It's gonna definitely have to be an offensive random team, which makes sense, and that would definitely appreciate more hazards. I know it got picked up, but Glamora would fit really good on this team over Drapion. I know it'd be more points too, but something like Reconstructure around that. But I mean, there might be some better hazard setters in the free agency if you want to consider.
Could
moving
get
by Sear.
Glimmet.
You could get Glimmet, yeah. That is the best round of poison in the league. So. Oh, by the way, if you don't have an Eternatus on your team, Bash is gonna roast you for not having a good poison. So just be ready. And, no, but yeah. The first thing I noticed when I was like looking down this roster is it's kind of cool. The first 6 mons like immediately fill out the Fairy Dragon Steel Grass Core. I thought that was pretty cool. So that is nice and everything. All of them are pretty offensive in that regard too, which is good. I think this team has a good way of keeping hazards off the field with 2 different magic bouncers and 2 really solid defoggers and Ultras and Rotom. I think Rotom Mo is a pretty good defogger too. Not a very good Leaf Storm user, I'll say that, but I would suggest try to find another grass move if you can. But if you can't, then just run like Mono Electric, I guess, and Toxic or something.
Damn, he should have made Rotom Terra and just run Rotom Terra Grass. That way you don't have to click it anymore.
Maybe consider that actually. If you miss it, preferably don't do it in the playoffs, semifinals, seasons 5, but you should be fine otherwise. Yeah, so I think that I think the squad's pretty cool. I mean, we're starting to get to the teams that are actually starting to be a little more competent. I'm just kidding. We're starting to
Whoa! Shots fired! Oh my god!
I was just kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
we're almost competent. We're close.
Yeah, it's starting to get a few breaks.
Yo, Jesus!
No.
Jesus!
I
Oh
actually
my
like-
god!
Okay,
Oh
chill.
my god!
Oh my god! Whoa!
I told Sketch this off camera, before we start shooting the porn scene. But this is
No.
I think Giratina has better teams than Arceus once we start getting higher up on the list too. Actually, like I think the top teams, like granted these aren't really the top teams yet, but once we get to the top teams, trust me, you guys are better than Arceus teams for sure.
Once we get to the competent
Yo.
teams, they're really competent.
Yeah. But until then, just
Jesus! Oh my god!
yeah, that's all I gotta say. I might as well just be done talking for the rest of the episode. This is
Episode.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Cool. Well, on that
You know what?
note,
I have one more thing. Something
Mhm.
that could be interesting is if you like switch like Drapion and Espeon out for like say like Overquill and like a 6-point mon. Could be really clean.
it could be
Because
pretty nice.
Overquill very good with hazard setting, very toxic with Godango. Yeah. Just a thought.
You'll
What the change? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Does somebody do something different? I feel like I hear an echo now.
I do hear an echo now too. What the heck?
Oh wait,
His breath. What?
Is it?
Oh,
is it-
okay.
is it-
I think it's gone. I heard that too though. What the hell?
Okay, cool.
His breath.
Oh, I can smell it. Wait.
All right, so 9th place we got Connecticut Camrups, coached by Beastly Aid, with a team of Regieleki, Tapu Fini, Gliscor, Mega Venusaur, Scizor, Ursaring, Hydreigon, Annihilate, Crocalor, and Carbink. I think this team might have the best removal in Giratina, with like 4 really solid defoggers and a rapid spinner as well. Really solid on that front. I would also say pretty solid stealth rock options in I think Gliscor is probably gonna be the main one, but Hydreigon and Annihilate, although they might not want to run it, they definitely can as like an extra option if you want to free up a slot on Gliscor. And then Carbink is also definitely fine with running rocks if you choose to bring that. And it's even a spike setter for the team, so I'd say this team definitely gets an A in the hazard department. Pretty good there. I think there's a lot of Volt turn going on here as well. If like you turn Annihilate, Gliscor, Hydreigon, Scizor, and then like Volt switch on Regieleki. A lot of like pivoting going on here. Pretty solid. I think the issue though, right? So you got that boy Regieleki, and obviously it's like the fastest Pokemon in the game, really speedy, really cool guy. But then it's also the only thing above base 100 speed. And since it's base 200 speed, and you have a gap of 102 points down to High Dragon, that means that really like anything I'd say above like the base 110, 115 mark are going to be able to run Adamant or Modest against you for free. It's not even anything that they have to think about. Honestly, really anything faster than like High Dragon might be able to do it, just if they count on you like speed creeping something else. So I think that's a really big weakness to this team. I think you definitely would have benefited from having like one or two more mons above base 100, even like a couple above like base 115, 120 would be nice here. It just feels like kind of slow. Now I will say, I think the individual Pokemon on this team are really, really good. Like honestly, this might be like the best team from just like individual Pokemon quality. I don't know. It's like everything on this team feels like pretty broken. I think even Carbink in the right matchup can be really solid. Yeah, I don't know. I think everything here has like a really solid role to fill for the team. Tapu Fini is broken. Like Regieleki, Annihilate, Hydreigon. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm juiced, but I just feel like everything is really, really good here. Even like the Terra Ursaring, even though it's probably not gonna Terra because Regieleki is a Terra Hog. I think even just normal type Ursaring, now that it gets Ethelite, is still really good. But I don't know. I think you could definitely benefit from some FA moves that gives you some speed, and maybe even try to like scoop up like a Psychic type while you're at it. So I feel like that's a pretty nice type to have in Draft League.
I agree with Sketch's take. This is probably one of like the most threatening teams on paper because like the individual mons alone, it's got, you know, that Fini Regieleki core hits different. You got Gliscor, Mega Venu, Hydreigon, and Annihilate, and like I mean, all those mons just in their own right are just disgusting. As much as I love Fini, I don't know how I feel about it on this. I think it, like, obviously you're gonna be like in this, like, I'm not usually somebody who's gonna complain about its ability, but I feel like in the case with like a Gliscor and Mega Venus, we're especially relying on like one status things all the time. It's kind of a little interesting. We'll see how that goes for you, but maybe in some cases you could run those guys more offensively, or if you just feel like you can go ahead and get away with the status anyways, it's the worst thing in the world. Because like I explained to Bash and knowledged him a little bit in the RPRs, breaking the fourth wall. Grass type status and things that switch in are usually gonna be flying types. So Venusaur should be fine anyways if terrain's up. Problem. But
What?
But yeah, no, I think the team overall is good. Croclar is a really cool low tier mon. What did you went with Terra Ursaring, so that makes sense. I mean, if you had a chance and you could Terra the Croclar, that would have been really cool. Mini Skeletons down there would be annoying to deal with, but the Ursaring pick definitely makes sense at the same time. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a solid team. Hazards are pretty decent. Hazards are pretty decent. The Gliscor, Hydreigon, Carbink, Annihilate Rockers. Yeah. What about you? What do you think? Definitely.
Bash. Okay. So something I think is kind of interesting is like you say that about Gliscor like kind of being like nerfed a little bit because of Tapu Fini, but like what's really cool is that like it's one of it actually still can get that Toxic Orb off, even with terrain up. So it doesn't have to worry about that, I guess, like with the whole like shenanigans with that. But
I know.
Yeah. But the big thing is it's really interesting. Well, yeah, there isn't a cleric, but like you probably have like two of the best like Pokemon to punish like status absorbers in the game with Gliscor and Tapu Fini, which a lot of people like to bring status against Annihilate. So that's something I think that's pretty cool. I think at least, like it's gonna force you're gonna be able to punish those very easily, and that's gonna make Annihilate like very annoying to deal with. I will say Annihilate is your only rock resist, so it's gonna come in a lot on those. So hopefully those rock resist are don't also have a way to hit Annihilate super effective or hit it hard enough. And yeah, speed tiers are pretty bad. Well, in terms of Lucky to Hydreigon. Keep in mind, Lucky is able to outspeed every Pokemon that's a base 116 or under at +1. So that's something cool to know. But Iron Valiant's base 116. Yeah, so Regieleki X speeds it at +1 by like 1 point. So yeah, cool. I think I like the team. I feel like there's like obviously the holes, like the little bit of holes in the team, but I think they could function really well. I'm very excited to see how this team goes.
There are a lot of holes on that team. careful how you portray that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Yep. We are now at the top half of the rankings. We are entering competency. We have a very polarizing one to kick things off. We got Nelzon of the Giza Gravards. I don't know. The reason I say it's polarizing is because I had this one really high on the list. Bash had it really low on his list, and I already know why. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't have a T-spike absorber. Whoop-de-doo. Never mind the fact that half of the team is immune to poison. We got Iron Bundle, Urshifu, Latias, Klefki, Hisuian Zoroark, Quagsire, Mega Aerodactyl, Rotom Heat, Oricorio, and Karkle. I'm a big fan of this draft. I think it's got 3 rock setters, which is what I always say you should try to aim for. It's got 3 spikes options as well. It's got T spikes. It has 5 defoggers and rapid spin, so really good hazard removal. Yeah, really like the hazard control here. I think clerical support from Latias is really solid. You got nice momentum from like Flip Turn Iron Bundle, U-Turn Urshifu on Zoroark and Oricorio, and then Volt Switch Rotom Heat. You have good speed tiers that manage to go from like 35 up to 150 without too many like major gaps outside of like there's the 25 points from Karkle to Klefki, and then I think 26 from Zoroark to Iron Bundle. I think Urshifu and Mega Aerodactyl are really good physical breakers, and then Iron Bundle and Hisuian Zoroark are really good special breakers. And then I also just think that like the illusion mind games from Zoroark are really toxic to pair with Urshifu, because you kind of got to like pick your switch in for those hits. And I don't know, it's not like people are going to want to go to like a normal type for Shadow Ball from Zoroark if it looks like Urshifu, so it's like kind of difficult to switch around those two, I think. Yeah, I think Oricorio is a really threatening low point Terra. That thing's kind of broken low key, and Iron Bundle is really powerful for a high point Terra, so nice Terra options on the team. I will say I think that water would have been a better type for bundle than ice, so that you aren't weak to rocks after you terrestrialize. But overall, I personally think this is one of the strongest drafts in Giratina this season. But yeah, what do you guys think?
You can take it, Bash.
Oh, okay. I feel like there's like certain like situations where like you kind of repetitive like did some of the mons where it's not really necessary. Like I feel like Karkle, no offense, probably could have been switched out for something else. Especially since like if you include Oricorio like being fire, you have 3 fire types on the team, so that's not that. Obviously they already mentioned it, but no ground and poison. Really could have loved to see that, because you know what makes it really tough, and you guys might be flaming me for this, but like you're gonna be able to tell probably usually what Hisuian Zoroark is because of the T spikes. So that's something to keep in mind.
T spikes.
Yeah, so that's gonna be really annoying, I think, for your team. So maybe grabbing a grounded poison somewhere on your team, especially with the repetitive like fire typing and rock typing. Something to also note is that your team is going. Luckily, you have Iron Bundle, because your team would literally hate to play Iron Bundle.
Nice take.
Yeah, no, like seriously, look down his team though, like literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like grounded poison could have been really nice in your team. It's good because it honestly, like the fact that Hisuian Zoroark is going to get poison is going to be able to make it easier to keep track throughout the game which Pokemon is Hisuian Zoroark or not. I think Oricorio is like a really good pickup though for your team. The fact that it also can be your spin blocker, which with all your hazard setting, it could be really nice for your team. But yeah, get that grounded poison, and I think your team will raise up in rankings if that happens.
You could try to like make a move to get Glimmet over Karkle, because that'd be a pretty fire grounded poison, right, Bash?
Limits 3 points though.
Yeah,
oh,
but,
no, you're
like,
joking.
but like if you were just like moving stuff around, you know.
Oh yeah. Facts. No. I think the team's really functions really well with the hazard support and especially the screens. I know Urshifu, Latias, and especially that little low tier demon or Courier are all scary behind the screens. So that's definitely a thing. And if you are gonna have to face T spikes, I mean, I would agree. Like the team is kind of weak to T spikes for like the more weak than the RCS team that we mentioned. Which
Spoilers.
But it's all good. I literally just lost my train of thought.
Penis, what? Oh.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know. Yeah, no, the team's offensively is just really good. The hazard stack is really good. I think that you well with good setup. Speed tiers are super fast. It's a very quick team. And yeah, it's a good thing you don't have to face Iron Bundle because that thing is versus you. I'm glad nobody's mentioned that yet. So.
Oh, good point, Crypto.
That is. Yeah, thanks. Thought of it myself. Yep.
So, are we good to move on with the next for coach?
I guess if we have to.
Okay. Next coach is Matt. We have it at 7, right? And Matt's team consists of Tapu Koko, Baxcalibur, Iron Moth, Rillaboom, Mega Blastoise, Ursaluna, Iron Jugulus, Bronzong, Knuckle and Shelmet, with the Terrors being Baxcalibur, Electric, and Knuckle 3. This team is actually it looks very cool. It's so sick on paper. If you think about it, right? Because either way, no matter which terrain is up, Koko and Iron Moth, whether Koko or Rillaboom have the terrain up, Iron Moth or Mega Blastoise are going to get boosted. It's going to be such a cool idea, the concept of it, because the grassy terrain will help Iron Moth with the ground weakness, right? Or the electric will give it that the boost, right? The Cork Drive boost. Mega Blastoise would be able to run Terrain Pulse on the team, and even Ursaluna is kind of cool because it gives it some reliable recovery, and it has Headlong Rush, so it doesn't even have to worry about getting nerfed by the grassy terrain. So that's something this team I feel is really cool in that aspect, and the fact that Bronzong gets that terrain for Ursaluna, I really like that about Matt's team. Yeah. Shoot, did I really? Okay, Tricker, my bad. One thing I will note that is kind of a little tough is the fact that to be honest, Bronzong's probably your only reliable stealth walkers, because I don't know how often Knuckle Stack's going to come to the game, which love Knuckle Stack, but just I feel it might struggle with that. The fact that your hazards come from Shelmet, Bronzong, Knuckle Stack, and Iron Moth. Iron Moth being T-Spikes, Knuckle Stack being Stealth Rock, and Shelmet being Spikes, T-Spikes, and Bronzong being Rocks. I don't know. Feels a little sus with that situation, especially since you got some really good momentum on your team. I felt some hazard stack could have been really nice to get up and force the opponent to keep switching around, because honestly this team is going to be very difficult to switch into. I do also believe that Baxcalibur being Terra Electric might be a little bit more terrifying than being Terra Ground, especially on this team, because that Terra Blast is probably going to be boosted, if I remember correctly, by Tapu Koko's Electric Terrain, and it already has the Earthquake coverage. So it's going to be pretty deadly that way. Yeah, I really like this team. And then the last thing is that the only removal is Mega Blastoise and Defog Koko, which you don't want to defog with Koko, because then you're going to get rid of the terrain, which kind of is a little sus. The Mega Blastoise might be forced into that rapid spin removal. But I will say, a lot of your team already kind of likes boots, right? Iron Moth can run boots, Jugs can run boots, Bax runs boots. Those mons, kind of already run it, so it's not that big of a deal. But I think this team has, it's going to be really difficult to switch into, especially if the electric terrain is up. So I'm very excited to see how. I really want to watch this team and keep a good look throughout the season and see how you end up functioning with this team. So yeah.
Man, Bash really called Iron Jugulas Jugs.
I
Like they're
know,
like
dude, that
childhood
bothered me so bad.
It's like they just go way back, man.
Got me in Jugs back in the day.
Crypto, I'll go first if you don't mind, because it'll be really quick, because Bash literally hit every single point I had on my list, so I don't really have too much to add. I think the synergy of the double terrain thing is really cool for sure. And yeah, I think Terra Electric Excalibur being boosted in the terrain is going to be really, really crazy here. Yep. I feel like there's not really like any clerical support on the team outside of like Grassy Surge, so that could be like an area of improvement. But I think outside of that, like the synergy is just so nice here that you might not even really need it. But yeah, I think maybe getting another rocker, I agree with Bash on that. I think getting better removal would also be nice, because you're not going to want to run Defog on Coco, and spin blockers exist for Blastoise. It does get like Dark Pulse for spin blockers, which is kind of nice, but I would just be careful there. And also be really, really careful and intentional with what plays you're making, because I could see the double terrain thing kind of undermining your win cons in the late game, but I'm sure you're aware of that with like how you structure the team. I just feel like that could be like kind of annoying in some situations. But yeah, what do you think, Crypto?
Yeah, no, this is probably synergetically like one of the coolest teams, like you guys have been pointing out, with the double terrain action. So I think that it's gonna be like, I mean, this team would be a blast to use. Like honestly, it'd be almost be like a blast to use. Like it's just crazy. But Ursaluna should learn Stealth Rocks. I don't understand that. Stupid in my opinion. But Knucklestack also, I think Knucklestack is getting underrated a little bit. Stealth Rock. I think that thing has. I mean, the team already is broken, so like there isn't a reason to bring Knucklestack that much. But I think Knucklestack is like pretty good in like any given matchup, especially with Terra. Considering I don't think you really necessarily have to Terra the Excalibur all that often, unless there's like, you know, still a bulky water around for some reason with the Coco and Rillaboom still there. But I don't think that'll be a problem for you most of the time. So I think Knucklestack will be a really good bring. But yeah, no, I mean, they covered pretty much all the points. This team's got a lot of really good win cons, which is definitely an ideal thing. And then the 1 point Shelmet was probably the best 1 pointer you could have picked up for this team, just to give your team a little bit extra support on the hazard department. So yeah, solid squad there, Matty Poo.
One thing I wanted to say, by the way. Okay, I would have liked to see like maybe like an Unburden Mon, or like or I know I suggested this in DMs, and but Swoobat would have been crazy on this team, because you get like the simple boost with the seeds, right? But yeah, or like something like a Driftblim or Hitmonlee would have been really cool on this team. But I think this team looks really good. So
yeah, that would have been nice for sure. Only thing I was gonna add, I actually think that Excalibur has a lot of reason to Terra, even outside of like offensive threats. Like I know Crypto was saying, the main reason is for like bulky waters, and obviously that's really good. But I think another reason why Excalibur wants to Terra into Electric is because it's a surprisingly bulky Pokemon with base 115 HP. So like you can already kind of tank hits even while you're in like Dragon Ice mode, but limiting it to one weakness where its only weakness is ground types, which don't really want to come in on Excalibur in the first place, is really, really good. Because Excalibur is the kind of Pokemon, and I used it last season, so I know, you know, I'm speaking from experience here. Exactly. It's the kind of thing that you can save till the very end of the game, set up one Dragon Dance at the end, and then clean up. It's really, really good at that. Or even if you're like a Swords Dance set, like if your opponent has really like frail, but like faster threats, you could just break things that are slower than you with Glaive Rush, and then kill everything else like a +2 Ice Shard and clean up at the end of the game. And going into Terra Electric defensively really just allows you free setup turns on a mod that can't be burned. So like there's nothing, like they can't really Will-O-Wisp you, they can't probably kill you in one shot, they can't go to their ground type to stop you. So I see this thing being really, really threatening on a team, especially because of that terrain boost that you're getting.
Fox.
Yeah.
So let's see, that was Dracula, that was number 7.
Yep. Number 6.
Oh, number 6. Yeah, I got this one.
You sure?
Yeah. Coming at number 6, we got the man, the myth, the master, the chunky boy himself, Chunks. And then with the team of Iron Valiant, Volcarona, Jirachi, Mega Sableye, Meowscarada, Gligar, Jellicent, Abomasnow, and Dragonair. Terra Captains being Volk and Arctozolt free. This was a really weird team on my PR list because on my individual list I had it 10th, which is like granted not the highest, but I had it starting off at like 6th. Then it went down to like 12th, and then I brought it back down to 10th. It was just bouncing all over the place, but I couldn't really get a grasp on this. What's the word? The grasp on how I felt about it. But overall, I do like it. I think that the combination of Valiant plus Verona is going to be a head to deal with in the late game. And then I think that early game is also just going to be just a nuisance too, with Mega Sableye, pivoting around and Glamour setting up Hazard. Really solid removal with the decent removal with Gligar, and then Sableye being able to bounce back. Actually, wait, only remove. Oh, and then Glamora. So actually, pretty good removal. So that's solid. The double ghost. I mean, the synergy is a little weird with the like double ghost and then like double dark guys, but I mean, I don't think that's a huge problem really, to be honest. And then even that in the little hail core at the end with Arctozolt and Abomasnow is really nice. The 1-point Dragonair, I guess, was like just to give you a Dragon type there, which is like fine. It's not a bad one, honestly. It's a pretty decent Thunder Wave user, Dragon Tail and whatnot. So yeah, it's a solid squad. I like it quite a bit. Speed-wise, it's maybe a little reliant on like booster energy, Valiant, and like setup from certain things, but overall, I can get behind this. It's definitely gonna cause some havoc.
Yeah, I like this team a lot as well. Unlike Crypto, I always liked it. I always had it rated pretty high on my list. No bouncing around on my end, but no, I think it's nice hazard setting from like Glamora and Gligar and Jirachi. I do think that the removal could be a little bit stronger because I feel like Volcarona. I think Volcarona can run Defog, but I feel like more often than not you're gonna be like running.
Can we get into this debate just for a second? Because like Volcarona teams obviously support or want removal, but like, is there ever really a reason?
I think like,
is there a reason?
Hear me out. Hear me out. I gotta, because like,
wait, Crypto, your voice cut out.
One thing I would say with like Mega Sableye being on that team, Volcarona could like be allowed to run more like a Specs option or something like that, or say like I don't know, like a Berry to help with like taking like I don't know a quick attack from Mega Pinsir. That's something to keep in mind at least.
What was the question that you were asking?
No, I was sorry. I was just gonna let you go, but sorry, I was just saying that. I mean, Bash. That's a fair point by Bash, but I was saying like in most every scenario, like is it like I feel runs boots all the time, so I feel like honestly hazard removal is a little over. If I'm being completely honest, like I mean it's nice obviously, but it's not like something like a.
You slightly cut up, but I think I get what you're saying, like how Volcarona doesn't need removal because of boots.
Yeah, Volcarona does not need as much removal as like it did in the past. Definitely
well, yeah,
not.
that's sort of what I was saying too.
Yeah.
If you just let me cook a little bit longer. Yeah, no, I was gonna say I think Volcarona can run defog. It just doesn't want to because it'll be more focused on setting up. But I think because it's always gonna be carrying boots, it's fine as a defog option in the same way that Moltres is. But I do agree. I don't think that like crazy removal is as necessary these days for Volcarona. I do still think it's like really necessary for things like Mega Charizard, because obviously it can't run boots. But for like quad weak mons like this, I don't think it's like as crucial as it used to be way back in the days of Gen 7 and Gen 6. But yeah, that said, I think Mega Sableye is nice support, like Bash said, for anti-hazards here. I also really like the Abomasnow pickup for this team for a couple of reasons. I think being able to activate Slush Rush for Arctozolt is really nice, and that thing with Terra is really menacing. I don't think it gets Terra Blast, but I think just being able to switch its type up is really nice anyway. Like just for like defensive purposes, like maybe if the opponent has like a really good Mach Punch user, you can go into like Terra Ghost or something like that. And then I also think Abomasnow is really nice for setting up Aurora Veil for Pokemon like Valiant and Volcarona to clean up in the late game. Yeah, I think this is just a really nicely balanced team. I do think there's a really big weakness though to Ghost spam here because there's no normal type. Meowscarada isn't really wanting to switch in on hits a whole lot, and Mega Sableye being the other dark type obviously doesn't actually resist the hit. So I would say be careful with that. I think you should be fine, but it is kind of like a weakness that I would personally try to exploit here. I could honestly see, it's kind of weird, but I could see something like maybe like, wait, am I juiced? Hold on, is it Terra? Okay, yeah, it's Terra Arctizo. Never mind. I had my notes that a Terra normal Obama Snow could show up, but that is very much illegal.
Wow.
Don't run that. Don't run Terra normal Obama Snow. That would be fire though.
Terra Arctizo could be kind of crazy with like Terra Bolt, Electric Bolt Beak to hit even harder.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Sketch stole my idea that like I was gonna talk about with like the ghost spam. He's gonna suffer a lot from ghost spam. It's gonna be tough. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, and then also I want to say that like dark spam is pretty good against them too. It's their two dark resist don't want to switch in usually that often because it's Meowscarada and Iron Valiant. So darks are gonna be kind of an issue as well. Specifically, like knockoff could be really annoying for your team. So that might come to the point of like why maybe Volcarona might get knocked off. You know, I don't know, but yeah, I just feel like dark spam and ghost spam are going to be really tough for you this season, and I hope that you're able to play around with it. So yeah.
Cool. So in 5th place, we have the Russian Rapidashes, coached by Martin. Martin has a team consisting of Dragapult, Palafin, Tinglu, Corviknight, Mega Medicham, Sylveon, Superior, Incineroar, and Alolan Golem. What? You good? You good?
Yeah, my headphone just fell. I was about to laugh like deviously, and then I like got cut off, and I was like, oh.
I was like, what's going on over there? Yeah, so on paper, I would say I would want this team to have more hazard setters and removal, but I do think that in practice it's probably a little bit better than how it looks, because I think that Tinglu is a very reliable setter that usually doesn't mind squeezing rocks or spikes onto its moveset most weeks. And I don't really see Alolan Golem used often, but I'm sure it's also fine running rocks. And I feel like Corviknight and Superior are both pretty reliable default options as well. Sylveon's a great cleric here, and Wish Pass I think is especially nice for things like Tinglu, Incineroar, Corviknight, and even like Palafin or Golem. Yeah, I'm not too sure what the Golem is gonna do, but I could see it being pretty cool in the right matchup for sure, especially with like Terra.
I was just gonna add, I think Golem's a really good component for Palafin to trap the bulky waters in a lot of cases.
Doesn't trap bulky waters, but
wait, it was, what am I thinking? Oh, it's Magnet Pull.
It's Magnet Pull, yeah.
Yeah, it's Magnet Pull.
I'm thinking of Rain.
That would be fire if it was a Rain attack, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to think, I was like, unless I got this like wrong. Like
Good thing it didn't. It would die to a water gun. What? No, just.
Yeah, I can see it doing some pretty cool stuff in the right matchup for sure, though.
Yeah.
And what else? What else? Terra Water Incineroar is a little bit weird to me, but I also realize that like with your higher tier picks like Dragapult and Palafin both being banned from using Terra, you weren't left with many great options to work with here. I'm on board with Incineroar being the Terra option, but I do think Water maybe wasn't the best option just because everybody's already going to be really prepped for Palafin. Everybody's going to have coverage to hit it, and everybody's going to have like, well, I was going to say have switch-ins to Water, but Incineroar doesn't get Terra Blast anyway. So I don't know. It could be nice for sure. Like defensively, it's pretty solid there, but I think other teams probably have scarier Terra threats than Incineroar, Alolan Golem, in my opinion.
Yeah. You know what?
Oh, what's up?
No, keep going.
Okay. Just a little bit longer. I feel like there's a pretty big speed tier gap on this team between Dragapult and Superior. which could be a little bit exploitable. It's not like the worst thing ever, but yeah, there's that. I also feel like the gap from like Palafin and Medicham at 100 down to Corvin at 67 is maybe even more exploitable than that one. So I don't know. I could see like speed tier exploitation being like an issue for this team, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid squad. I like what you did with the team here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you use it.
Yeah. Something I would like to note is the first thing I noted on this team is there's no grounded poison. So which kind of sucks for your defensive core of Tinglu and Sylveon, part of it at least. And Palafin's gonna suffer from it too because it doesn't want to be worn down. But something I would have said is I feel like there was a better option for a Terra Captain than Incineroar. Something like Terra Ground Sylveon could have been crazy, to be honest, because pretty much everything that wants to switch into Hyper Voice is gonna like get destroyed by Terra Ground. Could have been really cool. That way you could run more of an offensive Sylveon or like a good that can be really cool. Or I've seen like people run this like more lately. Tinglu Terra Captain would have been really kind of disgusting too. Specifically Terra Poison could have been really cool, especially since like a lot of your offensive threats like Dragapult and Mega Medicham don't really appreciate Fairy, right? So, and I know you have Corv there, but that having Tinglu there as a poison and a way to possibly absorb T-Spikes, because we already know they're coming against you, that it could have been really toxic, to be honest. Especially since like Psychics aren't going to want to switch in that often into Tinglu to begin with, because they could just run like Payback or something like that and like, ow. And it could probably take any Psychic type move anyway. So that was just something to keep in mind at least, and it'll make it really difficult to prep for Tinglu. I think Sylveon Wish Pass into Tinglu is disgusting too, by the way. Like, Tinglu might never die with Sylveon, because Tinglu is the Pokemon that always takes one, will always like not be O-code, and as long as you keep giving it support, like it's just gonna never die. I don't like the fact that that's kind of like your only hazard setter though is Tinglu. I guess there's a lone golem, but like how often is that coming? Could have been like better, I guess, like grabbing something else. Maybe a grounded poison that gets T-Spikes. I don't know. And then Revolt is not bad. Actually pretty good. Corviknight is really always like a really reliable defogger. So, and yeah, I think this team could like end up really well. I think grabbing a better electric type than a lone golem could have been really good for this team. Because your Palafin struggles with bulky waters, right? And I know the lone golem is super effective against waters, but it's also weak to waters. So I don't know if that's the best scenario you would want. So Serp is really your best way of breaking them. I guess Mega Medicham is always a great breaker, but like I don't know about that one. So, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's like my biggest thing is like the whole ground of poison thing again here is I would have probably changed the Lone Golem to the goat Glimmet, but other than that, and then I probably would have went like I agree. I think that could be different too. If you did make that transaction, for example, or did have another ground of poison, I would make Tinglu Terra Electric. I think that's a really good option for it.
Sure.
And if not, then maybe like Terra Electric and Incineroar is not bad. So you have like Thunder Punch on SD sets could be pretty good against certain waters. But yeah, no, the team's good. I think it's I think it supports Palafin pretty well, other than the T-Spike thing. But yeah, really powerful. Like it's top heavy, I guess, if you'd say, but like it's not really because there's only 9 mon, so it's kind of just heavy. So I don't know. It's a good squad though. Mega Medicham is going to do a lot of the breaking too for Palafin and Dragapult. So that's always a good thing.
You know what he could do? He could drop a lone golem for muck, regular muck, and then grab like, I don't know, say like a Pikachu or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be pretty fire. Yeah.
I would say if you're gonna Terra Tinglu, by the way, just be careful about going up against like powerful electric types, because I think having a nice immunity to them is really nice, and if you Terra Tinglu, then Volt Switch Spam is really good against you, especially because of like the presence like things like Palafin and Corviknight. being on your team. I think people are gonna be incentivized to bring electric types against you. I don't know. I could be juiced here, but I think just having like a nice bulky ground presence is really nice on this team. And in some matchups, you might not want to get rid of it by giving it Terra.
Well, if it's Terra Electric, it's still a resist.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
Yeah, if it's Terra Poison, it still never dies the electric type move, so...
No, I'm not saying it's gonna die, but they're just gonna get a lot of momentum volt switching against them.
Yup.
Yeah.
But alright, I think we're good to move to 4th place. And you know, I'm gonna let Bash introduce this one. It's all you, buddy.
Well, 4th place we got Splurge. No. No, so we got Akari here, the troops. We got who drafted Chi-Yu, Mega Mawile, Deoxys Speed, Tapu Bulu, Mandibuzz, Swampert, Jolteon, Meloetta, Druddigon, Grafaiai, and Marina, with the Terra captains being Chi-Yu Fire and Jolteon Free. I feel like this team has just insane breaking power. If you look at it, like the combination of like Chi-Yu, Mega Mawile, Tapu Bulu, like those three are just like break so crazy for each other. It's kind of insane just how like annoying it's going to be able to switch into this team, especially when you have like things like Hazard Stack, Deoxys Speed, and like something like Parting Shot Grafaiai, I believe, right? And yeah, it's just going to be a really painful, and the momentum you could get them into with Mandy and like Swampert and stuff. Something I would note is that like I believe your best way of getting Trick Room up for Mega Mawile is probably Meloetta. Not sure about that one, to be honest. Melo could be really cool though, but yeah, that might be a little tough for Mega Mawile. But I feel like Mega Mawile can definitely work without Trick Room anyway. It could be like a really bulky SD set. But yeah, this team is like just insane to try to like switch into. I will say with like Chi-Yu being like Terrifier and like the fact Chi-Yu is like weak to blocks, so that your only removal is Mandibuzz is going to be kind of tough. And I would have loved to actually see a Rapid Spinner on your team, especially since you have like a Hazard Stack like Mon, like such as Deoxys Speed, and a Ghost type to block those Rapid Spins. I think that could have been really good for your team. Something also to note, very much like has like that ground weakness. Luckily, they have a Tapu Bulu to set grassy terrain, but like something like, I don't know, a special ground type Mon, like I don't know, like Landorus, could be having fun this game a lot. So yeah, something just to keep in mind. But yeah, team looks really difficult to switch into. That's why it's like super high up here. And goated Terramons, Chi-Yu, and Jolteon the GOAT, of course. Top tier of Terra captain, so yeah.
Me.
What?
Yeah, I agree. I think that this team honestly might have the best Terra duo in Giratina, just because like the nuking option from Chi-Yu, and then just the nice versatility with like solid speed on top of that from Jolteon, are two very different but equally difficult things to prepare for, in my opinion. I like that this team has like big threats that you have to watch out for at pretty much every speed tier as well, because like things like Deoxys Speed and Jolteon are like really fast threats that make you think that like Trick Room could be viable, but then you have to watch out for like Mega Mawile and even Druddigon on the slower side for their breaking power. And then Chi-Yu, of course, being right there in like that middle speed tier, being able to just nuke things every time they try to switch in on it. And yeah, I don't like Mandibuzz being the only defog option. I feel like that's a Pokemon that has 4 move slot syndrome, and being forced to defog every week is going to make that a lot worse, because it likes to do things like U-turn and knock off and even like taunt or toxic, and so just pretty much automatically having one of those moves be defog every single week, it's going to be like a little bit tough for this team. It's unfortunate that the team is missing 5 types, but I am a little bit more willing to forgive that here than I am with most teams, because most of the types that you're missing are offensive ones, Like the five that you're missing are Bug, Fighting, Ghost, Ice, and Rock. And I don't think that this team is lacking an offensive presence. And I think some of these types, like Ice and Ghost, especially, can be, or sorry, I said that backwards. Ghost and Ice especially can be made up for with Jolteon in most matchups. Like I think Jolteon functionally can act as an Ice type for you anyway. So I think you should be okay, but I don't know. Could be kind of annoying not having those in some matchups.
Yeah, true. I don't know why the first thing that stood out to me was Grafai, but I think that's a really cool. It's 5 points, so it's not like a steal, but I think it's like a really cool 5-pointer. And definitely, like Bash was saying, parting shot adding to this team is really nice. I think that combined with like Hazard Stack is going to cause a lot of pressure on certain teams, just because they want to pivot around to have to potentially deal. Well, they're not going to want to pivot around because of the freaking hazards and how hard it is to switch on this team. So it's going to be it's definitely a good wall breaking team. The defensive backbone is there, but not only having Mana Buzz option is a little bit of a problem. So you might be finding yourself running boots quite a bit on certain things. And then wait, what's happening?
You know what's kind of disgusting I thought about? The fact that like you could run like Encore into Parting Shot Grafai to force like switches get to like momentum, you know? To get in something like, I don't know, like some of the best breakers in the game. So
yeah, quite literally. And hey, don't forget about that Suicide Lead Deoxys with Trick Room if you want another Trick Room setup from all while. There you go. Don't forget about it, Akari.
In all actuality too though, like Deoxys can be like a really good setup mon too. Like it doesn't have to be split into that role.
And it's just so good
it's gonna force yeah, exactly. That's going to be kind of annoying for whoever has to play Akari throughout the season.
No, I can see that. And honestly, like the Marini, like as a double poison, I think in this category is honestly pretty good, because if you look at the fighting resistance on this team, it's kind of sus because the psychic types do not really want to switch into fighting types for the most part. Your poison type is the other poison type is Grafai, which is flying type's Mandibuzz. Only other then your steel type or your fairy type is Ball. Well, and your only other one is Bulu, yeah. Your only other resistance is Bulu, so
just dies to P-Jab.
yeah, so I think Marini's actually a pretty good 1-point pickup there for you. So yeah.
Yep.
When we all start on this one, it's time to move on. We are entering the top 3, everybody. Top 3. Kicking things off, we have the Jersey Dinos, coached by Marina, with a team consisting of Great Tusk, Walking Wake, Clefable, Ferrothorn, Salamence, Sandy Shocks, Torkoal, Weirdeer, Venusaur, and Houndoom of the Mega variety. This is like the exact kind of team that I personally want to draft at some point. I've been saying for a while, like Sun has to be like the most broken weather at this point, like with all the like photosynthesis mons and I don't know, just things that like, can nuke in it, like Chi-Yu, or in this case like Mega Houndoom, and then like really good chlorophyll options. Like I don't know, there's just so much fun stuff that you can do with Sun now, and I think that we're finally able to draft a Sun team that isn't like super redundant in its typing. Like you don't have to stack up a ton of like chlorophyll users to be good here, and this is like exactly what I've been wanting to try out. I kind of want to hate on the speed tiers a little bit, but I think with chlorophyll and triple photosynthesis, I can let it slide in this case. There is a pretty big gap though between like Clefable down to Ferrothorn and Torkoal, but I will say with the Ferrothorn and Torkoal, they're pretty good anti-trick room options, and so it's not like the worst thing ever. You have 5 really reliable Stealth Rock options, which is a luxury that I think most teams can't afford, and then I think you have 2 great Spike Stackers as well here. But Salamence being the only defogger, it's a little bit questionable. Great Tusk is pretty much always gonna want to run Rapid Spin anyway, and I think it has the braking power to to push through most spin blockers anyway. And I would even say things like Mega Houndoom can kind of disincentivize people from running ghost types anyway. So removal might not be the worst thing, but it could just be a little bit annoying not having defog as an option here. Couple nitpicks. I think some more momentum options would be nice on a team like this, because right now it's really just like teleport Clefable and Volt Switch Sandy Shocks. But I do think that teleport Clefable is a really great way to regain momentum if you lose it, and I also think that like just the sheer offensive capabilities of the Sun team kind of make sure that you're in the driver's seat for most of the game as long as Sun is up. But I'm not sure how I feel about Terra Weird here. I haven't seen that thing used before, but I was kind of under the impression that it's not very good. But with Terra, maybe it is. I don't know. I think Venusaur probably would have been a little bit better. Yeah, I think Venusaur is just really, really scary, and being able to like switch its typing to like take hits better while getting like free setup in the Sun would have been really nice here. But I could just be sleeping on something that Weird Deer can do, and I'm more than willing to be proven wrong on that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this team in action. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, super solid squad. Sun is just disgusting to play against. Like, I feel like if you like slip up one time as the opponent, you're kind of just going to get steamrolled, because yeah, you could not finally knock out the Great Tusk or whatever, but then Walking Awake comes right back in. And it's not like Torkoal like is just like going to set up Sun one time. Like, that mon literally switch, come in, switch out a couple times, as long as you're able to keep the hazards off the field, which I think, having Tusk there as a rapid spinner. Well, Salamence is an underrated defense, and runs defensive. And what's the Terra user on this team?
Great Tusk,
Great Tusk,
Electric.
Electric.
Oh, okay. Oh god, Electric, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So no, definitely good, but I think, yeah, like I was saying, I think Mint's in a case where like you have really good, where your Sun abusers are really good in a certain way. Definitely capable, as it could serve another good defogger on the off chance maybe Torkoal doesn't want to run it one and to take more hits. So I think you do really well with that. Like most Sun teams, I mean, you're probably going to have the decent bit of rock weaknesses, but like I don't think that's like the worst thing in the world. May have already mentioned it, but I mean, Ferrothorn is a little weird on this team. I don't know if it's like the greatest under Sun. I mean, it's going to die to like most fire hits anyways, but maybe could have went for a different steel type. I guess you're looking for a hazard stack approach there, but you already have other hazard options and spike options and whatnot, so it's not bad though. It's not bad. I mean, I don't really have much of a problem with this team. I think I had it ranked 5th or something, ranking up there. So yeah, I like it.
I am noticing an issue with the team, but I actually had this ranked 2nd, so I really like this team. But there's one of the things I noticed right now, like looking at it, is that like this team is going to have a huge ground weakness. The only immunity, the only switching it has is Salamence, and then also the fact that Great Tusk is turning to Electric type, it probably isn't going to help. So I think that's something to keep in mind, is that maybe like a bug type, and specifically a bug type with momentum, because momentum is going to be really, I think it's going to be really important to try to get like things in like Mega Houndoom to just blow things back in like Walking Wake. As Sketch mentioned earlier, there's only Clefable and Sandy Shocks for momentum, and I think some teams really appreciate it. Even something like maybe even switching out, because we talked about like Ferrothorn's kind of weird on this team, is like maybe trying to grab like a Slitherwing, could have been really terrifying, because it also gives you some priority, which you actually technically lack right now as well. Which would be really disgusting too, because then you could just U-turn out into Mega Houndoom on the ghost types that come in on Slitherwing. So, but or like the into Great Tusk on the poison types to try to come in Slitherwing. So that's something to keep in mind. Otherwise, I really like this team. I mean, Ferrothorn is like, instead of taking 120% from fire type moves, now it's taking like 200. So I mean, either way, it's still dying. Yeah. So. But yeah, very cool team. I would like to see some more momentum / ground resist on your team. And the last thing is something that would be cool is like maybe a spin blocker, because you do have like some decent like hazard stacking potential with Ferrothorn and Sandy Shocks. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Also, Clefable fire boosted flamethrowers is going to be really nice to hit its checks. But yeah,
Yeah, I think the Slitherwing recommendation is really, really good here. I don't always agree with Bash's recommendations, but I gotta give him his props on this one. Good job, Bash. Woo!
I did.
Woo! Yay! Little Bashy, you did it. Woo!
Nuggy.
Yeah, I think Slitherwing could be really devastating on a team like this for sure, though. But yep. Yep's mean we're moving on to second place, and that is the Kyoto Kirums, coached by Curse. And Curse has a team that consists of Qianpao, Garchomp, Zapdos, Slowking, Venomoth, Empoleon, Mega Mawile, Toxicroak, and Ceruledge, with the Terra users being Ceruledge into Fairy type and Venomoth free. Definitely not a bad squad here, but I do think there are a couple issues I'd like to point out. I think having one more Stealth Rocker would be really nice, because I don't know if Empoleon always shows up. When it does, I think Empoleon's really good at setting up Stealth Rocks, and Garchomp is obviously really good at setting rocks too. I just don't think it always wants to run it. And Mawile, I'd be surprised if it does run it. So I think just having like maybe just one more option would be pretty nice here. 3 Defoggers is solid though. I think Venomoth is the more niche one, but with boots you can definitely make it work. And Zapdos and Empoleon are both really, really solid at it. There's not really any form of clerical support on the team. So I could see this team just kind of getting worn down pretty easily. But it's not like the worst thing ever. This is probably a nitpick, but I was kind of surprised to see Terra Ceruledge over something like Terra Garchomp. I don't think Ceruledge is bad, but what's up?
Terra Ceruledge is actually like kind of disgusting, actually.
No, I mean, I know, I think it's good. Like, I'm not saying that you should switch it. I was just kind of surprised because I feel like Terra Garchomp kind of punches holes really, really hard too. But honestly, you know, if you let me cook. Ceruledge isn't bad, and I actually like that it functions as a secondary fairy type here, because I think Mawile doesn't really operate as like a conventional fairy, like for defensive purposes at least. Not that Ceruledge is like a defensive mon, but just that fairy has a defensive typing, if that makes sense. And I actually think, you know, spoilers for my team in Arceus, but I actually think it's really similar to what I'm doing with Mega Mawile and like a Terra Fairy Skeledirge. So I would say that this has the sketchy seal of approval. Good job. You did it, buddy. You did it. I think Terra Venomoth is also a really huge threat. And we all, I think, remember what you did last season with Terra Moth. So,
Moth again, was it? Which moth was it again?
That was the Frost Moth last time.
Yes,
this time it was the Venomoth. Yep. I also really like Chilly Reception here, just being able to boost Qianpao's defense. This was mentioned in the Arceus video too, but when Bash had that last season, I did calcs and found that defense boosted Qianpao actually tanks hits slightly better than Slowbro, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I would say you got some really terrifying offensive options here. I would just be careful around teams that are aiming to like wear you down with moves like Super Fang or like status options, just because like the lack of support might make that like a little bit annoying to play around.
No. Kind of sus that you stole Mega Mawile from Kari, but we won't talk about that. It is what it is, but yeah, no, this team is disgusting. Like, I think I was sitting here like, I guess I can break the fourth wall. I mean, the team did have a mega, or now it's a mega. Should I say it? Should I say it?
Go for it.
Okay, no, like now the team has like a Mega Glade instead of Mega Mawile. Whoa! I know, but like the Terra Fairy Ceruledge makes a lot more sense now because it kind of needs a fairy type at this point. So
yeah, that's true.
That doesn't really matter for the PR video, but just wanted to point that out for you imbeciles out there. But outside of that, outside of that, I think because like whenever you were doing that, I was looking 40 foggers, but then I was like, oh wait, Skuntank's not on the team anymore either. So yeah, no, the team's really good. I think it functions around, you know, Qianpao getting late game cleanups really nicely. I think Chomp is a really good rocker. In like any given matchup, you can run like SD rock stab, and it's just disgusting. And if you want to set up on top of that, just throw Scale Shot on there. But that's a really good mon. We've got defensive or pivot Zapdos in a lot of cases, also good. Yeah, I can get behind this team. I mean, the momentum on it is really, really okay. I was gonna say really good. It's really, really okay. It's decent. But yeah, no, I don't know. I had this team ranked high as well. Curse does not have his Frostmoth this season, so we'll see if he'll to compete. But he does have another Moth, so we'll see what it can do here. Yeah.
Something that I feel like there's something that could be really cool that I don't know if you guys mentioned. Is that like chilling reception into Weather Ball Zapdos? Kind of nasty.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult to switch into. Chien-Pao is always disgusting. I think Ceruledge Terra Fairy is actually like really annoying for teams to prep around because of the fact that it could just like Bitter Blade back up. So Terra Blast plus Bitter Blade is just like disgusting coverage. I think like that combination like hits a lot of teams. Like most the only thing that resists both is like fire, which is like it could be flash fire or whatever. But something I will say is that like if it's not flash fire, this team suffers a lot from I think Will-O-Wisp spam. Currently right now, like I think it's gonna be really annoying for this team. And the fact that having no cleric is gonna make it even worse, especially since Will-O-Wisp spam is really good for like Mega Ball Wow with like the sucker mind games to try to not have to worry about that. Something that is cool is that this person has double the grounded poison, so they don't have to worry about T-Spikes twice. But yeah, I think this team is very good. I really like the Slowking with like the Mega Ball Wow and Chien-Pao and Zapdos. That's like really good together. And yeah, I will say like they have a pretty bad ground weakness currently, with Zapdos being the only way to switch into ground types, which if they ever have to play a Zygarde, it might be a little tough for them. Because even like the Terra for Ceruledge doesn't turn into a resist to ground. So yeah, something like a Zygarde could be very difficult for them. So yeah.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
And getting to your number 1 spot
Yeah,
on the
near
list. Here comes Will. We have SSPDE of the Brooklyn Bonnettes with Dragonite, Iron Treads, Spectrier, Megalopony, Mew, Galarian Weezing, Primarina, Tangeli, Raichu, Houndoom, and Spidops, with the Terra Captains being Dragonite Normal and Raichu Free. Yeah, this team is gross. I think it's probably, like, in my opinion, I think it looks like the best team in both divisions. This team is just kind of broken. Terra Normal Dragonite is absolutely stupid. Treads for a nice spinner for that thing is obviously really helpful. Lopunny Spectre, amazing top-end speed with capabilities to break for each other. Mew in the 5th round is stupid. I don't know how you got 5th round Mew.
Didn't Mew not get drafted in RC?
Yeah, I didn't even get drafted. I almost picked it, but then I was like, really high in points. But they made it work. They made it work.
Really. I mean, I drafted in RC's last season, and then dropped it, and nobody else picked it up.
Yeah, Mew's catching too much strays, so hopefully you just dominate with Mew here. Galarian Weezing's really fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of, like, it's a little top heavy, I guess. That'd be like the only thing I'd say about it. But even still, all the like low mons like offer really nice viability, and Terra Raichu is going to be playing. It's like a budget Jolteon, I guess, in that case. But then Houndoom offers you a nice fire immunity and Sir Webs, and Tangela gives you a little bit better convincer than, which is not bad. So
yeah, I think something that, even though like Dragonite Terra's into a normal type, you have like very good fighting like answers or switch-ins. Specifically, like Galarian Weezing's one of the probably a top tier fighting switch-in, because it's just double resist plus like really bulky. I think that's why it's okay to double up on the fairy on this team. with Prima and Galarian Weezing, especially since they also have very different roles, but they also really help support the team a lot. Something to also note, I guess, their dark switch-ins make it like the fact that they also have like really good dark switch-ins with like Primarine on the special defensive side and Galarian Weezing on the Fizz Def. It just makes this team just functions really well, and I think Mew on this team like works really well with this because I feel like it's able to like it's able to be like more like free in like what kind of role it wants to be, because there's just so many ways that like the team kind of offers like support for like or offers like the roles already that Mew might be forced to go into. Like it has like good removal, it has good setting, it has a good setup, it has breaking power, it has momentum, it has Will-O-Wisp spam, it has like a lot on this team that like I think it allows it to function very well. And I think that's why this team is going to be just like very annoying and to prep against and play. So that's well done, SSBD. Yep.
Yeah. I will say this. All right. Let me cook. Hear me
Oh,
out.
the hater. No, I'm
Hear me
kidding.
out. No, I'm not hating. I'm just saying, like, in the off season, SSPDE was on Team Bash, and it kind of feels like, I don't know, there's like a little mini Bash team here, just training under Bash. He saw what Bash did with this core in the off season. He's trying to recreate it. We got the Dragonite, the Spectre, the Iron Treads, and then hear me out, right? You might not have even seen this one, but if you combine Primarina and Galarian Weezing's Misty Surge, you kind of have a Tapu Fini too. So I don't know. Seems like he's just
Spidops and
copying
Lopunny
Bash.
too.
Yeah,
Spidops and Lopunny too with the Slitherwing. Yeah, the first impression.
Yeah,
with the,
exactly.
Yeah. Momentum. Yeah. I get it.
So I don't know. I think he's just trying to impress you, after he was on your team.
I smell it.
I mean, I don't know if he needs to impress me anymore after how he played this.
Bruh, not too soon.
I like this team a lot, though. I think Dragonite is really well supported by some really solid removal options in Iron Treads, Galarian Weezing, and even Mew. I know it obviously can do a lot and might not always want to be pushed into the removal role, but in case you like need that flex option for removal, it definitely can do it well if it chooses to. I'm not sure if it's always going to want to run like hazards, so that's probably going to fall to like Treads most weeks, and I don't know if Treads necessarily wants to be setting rocks all the time, so that could be an issue, but not too bad. I think you have some nice speed options, some okay-ish clerical support. I think the Misty Surge from Weezing could be really nice here. I would say just be careful with Dragonite because its dragon moves are going to be getting nerfed, but it's not going to work the other way around since it is flying type. So you're still going to be taking like that full damage and also be able to hit by status moves before you Terra, which could be a little bit annoying. But I think you pretty much always should Terra because Terra Dragonite is really broken. I'm not a huge fan of the 3 Mons at base 60 speed. Well, not saying I don't like the Mons themselves, but just it is like a speed cluster, which could be a little bit like speed redundant, but that's not really like a terrible problem to have. This is like really nitpicky because this team is just really good. But I like the priority options here, like E-Speed Dragonite, Aqua Jet, even for certain Mons, like maybe like Excadrill or something like that. Or like a Suian Arcanine if that was picked up. And then like, fake out quick attack Lopunny is really nice. And then even like the first impression Spidops that Bash mentioned. Really cool options there. I really like this team though. It's really good. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that this is the only team in either division that we had unanimously ranked across all 3 of our lists. We all actually had this team in first place. So perfect score here from the panel. Really well done.
Yup. Basically, what we're saying is we just got done sucking you off for 10 minutes. So if you lose one game, you're a failure. No,
Oh my god!
Oh man. Well, you should be able to see each of our individual lists here. If you're curious how you did for all 3 lists, it is now on the screen. Observe.
I'm not sure. I can't see it.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. Sketch, can you show it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Did you try opening your eyes?
Whoa!
Oh,
Whoa!
got him.
Wow. Crazy.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to add?
Crash gang. Yep.
Make sure you guys unsubscribe to Bash, Lord Bash. He doesn't upload anymore. So until he gets back on that grind, I want to see everybody unsubscribe. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you for checking out the power rankings. Be sure to go check out the Arceus ones if you haven't seen that yet. It should have probably been uploaded before this one, so go watch it.
Whoop, whoop. Let's go.
Peace.
All right. Later, fellas.